Wow, what an episode of Ascendance of the Bookworm. Like, I have been looking forward to this episode since the ending of last week's episode. Like, I have just been, like, looking at my calendar. Like, I have a calendar of everything, like, every single anime that we cover here on the channel. And I have, like, the days that each anime comes out and the times and stuff. And I have just been looking constantly. I'm like, okay, a bookworm, is tomorrow the day? And I was like, okay, yeah, finally, it's Monday. Today's the day that Ascendance of the Bookworm is finally going to come out. And I was so freaking hyped. And it's mainly because last week's episode, we ended off on meeting Purple Hair Dude, which I instantly absolutely abhorred. And I hate this freaking guy. And to this day, well, not to this day, but in this episode, I still freaking hate him. I do not like this pretentious asshole. I do not like this dude whatsoever. And you know what? At the end of the day, if he becomes redeeming and sweet and looks over Myne and protects her, I'm still probably not going to like him very much. Like, at the end of the day, Ferdinand, that's my boy. You know what I mean? That's my dude. But this guy, I don't like this guy. So with that being said, a lot of stuff went down this episode, and one of the things that this episode reminded me of is just how cool Ascendance of a Bookworm can be. Now, when you think about Ascendance of the Bookworm, especially if you're an avid watcher, viewer, fan of Ascendance of the Bookworm, the first thing you think of, or the furthest thing from your mind that you think of, is Sakuga, right? Like, and Sakuga is just a broad term, like an artistic term for heavily rendered or animated scenes. You would refer to huge fight scenes as Sakuga, right? You would refer to 60% of Demon Slayer as Sakuga, right? So the first thing that you think of in those situations is definitely not Ascendance of the Bookworm, right? Like, you don't think about Ascendance of the Bookworm, but they showed off this episode, and again, it wasn't like, it wasn't the most animated thing in the world, but they showed off that they could do fight scenes, like the scene with the Dark Barrier, where you had Myne praying to the wind gods, you had Ferdinand helping her out. You had the guardsmen basically using like their super moves. You had Sylvester, using like, I don't know, some specific like gold dragon beast mode move. Like, they were hella cool, and they acted quick, and they did it super fast. But it was a freaking dope ass scene. Like, I was just, the whole entire time, I just like glued to it, just looking like, yeah, get him, Ferdinand, do it. And the fact that after all of that, it's the first time that Myne has ran out of mana. Like, that's never happened before. Like, she always has an overabundance of like almost unlimited supply of mana. And this time, with her doing the huge barrier, with her doing the prayer to the gods, with the protection, with the enhancement, with the lending the mana to Damuel to get the beast to move faster, with all those different things, they all added up, and they depleted her mana. On top of that, the thing that we have to remember as a viewer, as well, as we're watching is they also just came from their spring ceremony. So, like, she has been continually, delivering mana after mana drop after mana drop. So you have to imagine that, if you deplete or get rid of 30%, 50%, 60%, 10% of your mana, that you can't just sleep it off and it comes back. You have to imagine that it takes maybe multiple days. So if you say that she did 3 spring ceremonies in a world or in a row, and she has 40% left, maybe she sleeps off and gets 10% back, 5% back, whatever. So I think all of that, the reason I'm mentioning is I think all of that kind of accumulated to her depletion of her mana. And the other thing, too, is all of this Dark Barrier stuff came after the fact that she had been attempted to be kidnapped and or killed, right? She had been attempted to be kidnapped, and we're assuming that it was the one guy, the purple pink hair old man who's friends with the high priest, we have to assume that it was that dude trying to do it. But at the end of the day, based on her stature, based on what she can accomplish, based on what she has accomplished, a lot of nobles have it out for her. When I say a lot, I mean like a butt ton of nobles have it out for her. So yes, it could be the dude that they're guessing it could be, but it could also be a multitude of other people. It could be purple hair guy who's orchestrating all this stuff. Like there's so many different levels that this could be. And you might be like, oh, well, how could it be the purple hair guy? Well, just because he's with them doesn't mean that he's not saving face. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's going to happen. Probably not. It's probably not going to be the case. It's probably going to be someone else. It probably will be the dude that they're thinking it was going to be. But, at the end of the day, it could be a multitude of different people. But what I love is that there is that speculation and that theorizing and that mystery to it, to where like now we just want to know, who is it going to be? So I think that's awesome. The other thing that I want to recognize too in this episode is just Myne's growth. Overall, like Myne has continually grown as a person, but at the same time retained a lot of that youthfulness, because she's still a kid, even though she's older in, spiritual, mental age, but physical age, which has an effect on both of those other two things. She's still young, but she has been growing as a noble. She was recognized by Ferdinand here. She was recognized by the guardsmen, by Damwell. She was recognized that like, hey, you're more of a noble lady like now, which was all demonstrated by the way she dressed, the way she committed herself, the way that she was able to socialize, the way that she was able to have conversations with the purple hair dude, Sylvester. I'm gonna keep calling him purple hair guy, with Sylvester about the chefs and the food and everything. So she has definitely grown as a lady, as a character, a lot, and I love to see it because I like to see her intermingling and basically like making these nobles recognize, like, yo, you see that, you recognize, now you know what the problem is. She's able to kind of bring them into the light a little bit by being on their level, which is extremely enjoyable to watch happen. Overall though, love the episode. Another freaking fantastic episode. I think at the end of the day, I know this season has Spy Family, which is a mega hit. I know this season has Shield Hero, which I don't care what haters say, I freaking love it. This season has a lot of really good anime. But at the end of the day, Ascendance of the Bookworm is my top 5, period, like life. I love this anime, and it could, like, this is it for me. Like, this is my spring anime, period, the end. And I'm loving up every single episode. And I can't wait till Crunchy Dubs, or whatever the hell they call it now, ends up coming back and dubbing this, because the dub for Ascendance of the Bookworm, if you guys haven't watched it, go watch it on Funimation or your website of choice. It's fantastic. So can't wait for that. All right, my friends, I'm going to leave you guys on those thoughts there. Thank you guys for joining me for another week. I will see you, my friends, next week for next week's episode of Ascendance of the Bookworm. Leave me a big old like before you guys dip out, and I'll see you next week.